We are going to map out exactly how AI applications are built, taking you from a user's first keystroke all the way to the final generated output. Before a model even sees a prompt, the request has to survive a strict gauntlet of infrastructure. It passes through an edge network, hits an API gateway to authenticate your JSON web token, clears a global rate limiter checking your quota, and goes through an input safety classifier. Once the text reaches the model, it cannot be read as words. The system uses a tokenizer to chop the prompt into sub-word chunks and maps them to numerical IDs. An embedding lookup then translates those IDs into high-dimensional vectors. The text is now math. The model doesn't think or reason about these vectors. It runs them through a series of transformer blocks to calculate a probability distribution, predicting exactly one single token at a time. Because a base model relies entirely on static training data, it will hallucinate facts it doesn't know. To fix this, we use Retrieval augmented generation. As this diagram illustrates, an offline pipeline extracts and indexes your private documents into a database. When a user asks a question, an online pipeline retrieves the most relevant chunks and injects them directly into the context window. If you need the model to take actions rather than just answer questions, you wrap it in an agent loop. You give the model a goal, ask it to plan out steps, call external tools to execute those steps, read the results, and loop back to observe if the goal was met. To safely connect those external tools, systems use the Model Context Protocol. It enforces a strict boundary between the host AI application and the local or remote resources it needs, providing a standardized, secure interface for tool execution. A production AI system is just the orchestration of these components: an autoregressive reasoning core, external data retrieval, and strictly isolated execution boundaries. Scaling to handle thousands of requests requires moving away from manual server configurations to automated infrastructure. The core mechanic driving this automation is the control loop. It observes the live state of the real world, compares it to your declared desired state, acts to close any delta between the two, and waits before repeating the cycle. To package application code, we use Docker. A container is not a virtual machine. It's a standard Linux process isolated using kernel namespaces so it can't see other processes, and C groups to ensure it won't exceed allocated CPU and memory. To manage thousands of containers, we use Kubernetes, essentially a large factory of control loops. You write your desired state to a key value store called etcd, and controllers read that intent through the API server, adjusting nodes to match. When you run a deployment, the system authenticates your identity, validates the object schema, writes the record, and assigns a physical node. It is a precise 11-step sequence of API calls and scheduler responses. There is no magic in the cloud layer. You record a configuration, and independent control loops handle the execution step by step. Connecting your local code to that cluster requires a continuous integration and deployment pipeline. Every time a developer pushes code, automated runners execute linting, unit tests, security scans, and image builds before any new feature is allowed to reach production. To provision underlying cloud resources like databases, we use Terraform. It operates on 3 sources of truth: the configuration files you write, the live cloud API, and a state file tracking what it thinks already exists. Kubernetes reconciles state automatically and continuously, but Terraform requires you to manually review a plan before applying any changes. Why the difference? Because Terraform interacts with external APIs, where mistakes cost real money. Deleting a Kubernetes pod just restarts the process, but deleting a managed database destroys customer records. The manual review step is a strict safety boundary against permanent data loss. Taking a machine learning model into that production environment means abandoning the local Jupyter notebook. You have to refactor the experimental code into modules, build reproducible data pipelines, version the model artifacts, and package it all into an inference server. These graphs show what happens after deployment. A model doesn't crash like a web server. It quietly gets worse. Over time, the incoming data distribution shifts, the relationship between inputs and outputs changes, and the predictions drift away from your baseline. Because LLM outputs are non-deterministic, standard binary unit tests will fail. Instead, you build an evaluation harness. You run changes against a curated golden dataset and use a fixed judge model to score correctness on a spectrum, catching regressions before they reach the user. Machine learning operations sit exactly at the overlap of DevOps and data engineering. The only way to maintain a reliable service is to continuously monitor statistical drift. This schematic wires all 15 of these isolated systems together. A user request moves through the edge CDN, clears the API gateway, and hits the application service, which coordinates the LLM, the vector database, and the external tools into a single cohesive response. To keep this entire architecture running, standard logs and metrics aren't enough. You have to implement an AI-specific observability layer to trace token counts, track cost per call, and monitor for prompt injection attempts on every request. Reading the diagrams is only the first step. Over the next 30 days, you have to write the code. Build a container, deploy it with Terraform, set up an evaluation suite, and wire up the alerts. When you understand the exact internal mechanics of Linux namespaces, transformer blocks, and continuous control loops, nothing in production is a mystery anymore.